Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bright Founders Talk at Temi. Temi is an international software development company that designs, builds, and delivers software for sustainable businesses and promising startups. My name is Matthew, and I'm joined today by Andrea García, who is the co-founder and CSO of Carpool, based out in Spain. How are you today, Andrea?
Hi, Matt. I'm very happy to be here with you.
Terrific. Thank you. Andrea, before we start, can you tell our viewers and our listeners a little bit about Carpool and your role within the company?
Yeah. So my role in the company is Chief Sales Officer. So I'm in charge of acquiring new clients with a team of sales people. And I'm in charge also of turning them into success stories, not just launching, but also making sure that we have great cases with the clients. So about Hoop is a carpooling platform. So what we do is we connect people so they can share their everyday rides to work or university. And we are a SaaS, so we always work with other companies offering our software as a service so that their employees or their students can carpool to uni or to the office. It's a B2B SaaS.
That's terrific. Now, you are one of the co-founders. Tell us how that came about.
So, well, it's been 5 years since we began working in Hoop. And we were based in Madrid, the 4 founders, but we didn't know each other. So we were basically developing the same project at the same time in the same city. And by chance, by talking to people, because I believe that when you have an idea, what you have to do is really talk to a lot of people and share it so you can get some new insights and feedback. And by talking to people, we came across each other and we decided to start working together instead of competing because the project is huge and the opportunity is very big, but the challenge is also huge. So then we were working together for like 6 months, and thankfully we had a very good match in terms of values, lifestyle, and also the way we saw the purpose of the company. And so we have been working together for 5 years. As I said, we survived COVID, which was a very hard challenge. And now we are present in 4 different countries, in Spain, in Portugal, in Mexico, and in Colombia. So the project is growing.
That's terrific. Congratulations. I'd like to dive into that a little bit more. You mentioned something interesting, talking about competition and deciding to work together and build something together. What was that like, finding common ground and getting that established?
Well, it was easy enough because we had different profiles. So each of us could take care of one of the strategic areas of the company, that being finance, marketing, product, which is technology, and sales in my case. So that was quite easy. But of course, at the same time, you are talking to a stranger and you're trusting them to build your dream, right? So that's why I really recommend having this trial period before building or incorporating the company itself. And it's kind of like a marriage, right? Before getting married, you have to really know the person. You have to live together with them if you can, like try to get all the checks done. And in my case, they were all positive. So very lucky about that.
No, I like that little analogy, like a marriage, a nice long list, tick all the boxes, and it's okay. We can put it on the finger. Let's take a few steps back and let's talk about the build up to this. You've done a few things before you got to Hoop. Did you always know that this is what you wanted to do? Did you want to run companies? Is it something that grew with you over time?
Well, I used to live in the outskirts of Madrid, which is a big city, and traffic was very present in my everyday routine because I had to go to school and I had to stay for 1 hour in the car. So I saw the challenge from little, and I consider that I have been a social entrepreneur since I was born, because I really looked at challenges around me and I tried to provide a solution or think of a solution. And in my opinion, that's being an entrepreneur, right? Not just focusing on the problem, but looking at the solution. And yeah, I had a clear idea that I wanted to become an entrepreneur because I didn't really like the corporate life, where I see that people sometimes are not very aligned with the purpose of their company. And yeah, my parents had worked very long hours in big corporations. So I wanted to change my path and focus on let's say, working for my own dreams. And yeah, that's great. But at the end, you end up working more than anyone on a corporate business, on a big company. But yeah, I love the path. It's been amazing.
Let's talk a little bit about that. You said you end up working a lot of hours, and that seems to be a common sort of theme, that there's long hours involved. How do you cope with that? Do you have any time management tips and tricks? How do you balance your personal life?
That's a huge topic, because I feel like up to this moment, like up to the past years, entrepreneurship was all about like going crazy and building something huge and being super successful. And now no one was talking about the trade-offs, like all the struggle and all the mental health problems that entrepreneurs go through. And I feel like this new generation of entrepreneurs, our challenge is to show the world that it is possible to become successful entrepreneurs and business people and build big companies without losing all the other areas of your life. So what I try to do is I really try to balance and set some limits, because of course the load of work that you can do every day is infinite, like it will never end, but you have to have your schedules more or less set, and you have to make sure that you have space for hobbies. In my case, I need to do sports almost every day to feel that I'm exercising my body and I'm oxygenating my brain. And I also need to prioritize my family. So I try to balance it all out. But of course, it's a big challenge every week. I try to plan ahead. I try to prioritize, even in my work, what is important. And I try to surround myself with people who are also big thinkers and who can build also ideas on their own. And that's how more or less I'm managing to do it. And last thing is that we are getting support from coaches. The founders of Hoop, we are going through a program that is helping us a lot, because we are working on ourselves. I feel like you have to be very connected to yourself and very well mentally in order to do a good job in the startup, right? So we are working on ourselves, and we are also working as a team to be able to manage and to scale the project to the next level where we are at now.
So you mentioned surrounding yourself by the right kinds of people. Now, we touched a little bit on the founders and how you all found your place and you came together. But what about the rest of the company? You're growing, expanding. How do you go about making sure that you've got the right kind of people with the right mindset?
Matt, that is one of the biggest challenges of any startup, because the world's full of people, but not everyone is made to work together. I think you have to find people with the same values as you. And in order to do that, you first have to know which are your values as an entrepreneur and your co-founder's values. So we have worked a lot on that. And it's a constant work in progress, because as the company evolves, the values also evolve. And then we really, really try to find the people who share the same values, not just like work values, but also like the way they see their life and what they prioritize more and everything. So we search for these profiles, and then we perform what we call a barbecue test. That is basically we meet up for a coffee. We don't actually do a barbecue, but we meet for coffee or something similar with the rest of the team members from Hoop. And we just talk about personal stuff like hobbies and dreams and fears and lessons learned. And we try to see if this person would match the culture of the company. And then sometimes we get it wrong anyway, because it's not easy. And then you have to be able to see that soon enough, because it's very important that every person that is in the company is part of the culture and is like raising the level and taking it further, So we are very focused on that right now.
That's fantastic. I like the idea, the barbecue test.
Yeah.
Getting to know somebody outside of the sort of work environment and who they are as a person. If you don't mind, I'd like to take a step backwards to something you mentioned earlier. You spoke a bit about competition within the industry. Is it strong at the moment?
Well, it's not as strong as we would like, actually, because I believe that competition is great news for everyone. It means that there's a huge market, and then there's space for everyone. But In this case, carpooling itself is something that is starting. It's like the wave is beginning to form. Since in terms of Europe, especially since the European Union is regulating a lot towards sustainability and imposing a lot of measures on companies and city halls and everything, it's now when the companies are realizing that they are responsible for mobility, the mobility of all the employees that they attract every day to their office. So it's starting. But in France, for example, this is something really, really developed already because the government is paying for all the shared rides. So if you share rides, the government will pay for the cost of your fuel. And this is a very popular measure. So we think that it's going to happen in the rest of European countries. And also in Latin America, we are seeing this trend moving forward. So this is good news for us. But yeah, still at the beginning. And looking forward to go to Africa too, because we know the mobility challenges are big.
Yes, absolutely. It would be nice not to walk everywhere we go. Just off the top of my head, you must have gotten a bit of kickback, perhaps, from other industries when this came out. Did you have big challenges to face from any of the other industries?
We sometimes have to explain that this is not competition, for example, for the public transport, because of course we all want public transport to be the first option, but the reality is that public transport is not an option for many people because they live far away and it's not well connected. It's mostly well connected in the city center. So this we had to fight a little bit about at the beginning, also with taxi drivers who at the beginning saw that it was a conflict, but now we know that sharing rides to work is something different than going by taxi every day. Most people cannot afford to go by taxi every day. And then with the car industry, it's been really interesting because they are very open-minded in terms of changing their revenue models and testing new ideas. So many car companies are betting on carpooling. They are actually implementing carpooling with us in their own factories to try and get to know it and see if it's interesting to develop it. So we see them as big partners for the future.
That's good. So you've overcome some of the kickbacks, and you're talking about people are starting to get on board. So I assume that you have some very bright outlooks for the future.
Of course. We want, our vision is to offer this software for carpooling to any company in the world who needs to improve their employees' mobility and reduce their emissions. So we want to be fully scalable. We have a global mindset.
That's terrific. So let's talk a bit about that. The environment, obviously a very hot topic, excuse the pun, but have you got any figures you could share with us or anything about what you're doing with regards to reducing carbon footprints? Have you had any feedback in that respect?
Yeah. So far, we have shared over 80,000 rides in the past 2 years. And the impact that we have gotten back from that is the equivalent to planting 30,000 trees, which is quite a lot. And we're still starting, as I said, so the potential is huge. And what I love about this project is that it's something very simple, because just through technology, we can solve a big mobility problem that is the problem of one person per car every day, everywhere. We don't need to invest in more infrastructure. We don't need to add more vehicles. We just need to optimize what already exists. And we need to change our mindset towards collaboration. And this is a big thing for sustainability, because if we really want to be able to achieve the goals, the SDGs from United Nations, we really have to change our mindset from thinking individually into thinking in a collaborative way. And we probably can all live better if we just help each other a little bit out.
Absolutely. Now, I suppose you would have some users that are sticking with this and they're using it on a regular basis. Is there anything for the drivers or for regular users as an incentive to keep doing this?
Yeah, of course, Matt, because otherwise no one would change their habits. So incentives are key here. And what we offer, usually it's the company who offers, they pay for the rides of people who are sharing. So if you share your rides to work, you get paid for the fuel. They usually also give them parking spaces. So this is a very big incentive because, parking is a big problem everywhere in the world. And then we also launch like carpooling challenges, and we try to get people more and more engaged. And it's very cool to see how people become friends, and they create very good connections thanks to this experience of sharing the ride to work.
I'd like to, again, take a step back. And you spoke a little bit about COVID. Now, this is something that a lot of people have gone through, and it's good to see that you've made it through and you're carrying on an upward trend. But can you tell us a bit about that? What was it like for you guys when you heard the news and you knew, okay, this is happening?
Yeah, it was very hard for me, for us, for Hoop, and for many other entrepreneurs and everyone, right? Everyone in the world had their own challenges with the situation. So for us, it was especially hard because no one was going to work at that time, physically present, and no one was sharing any space. So basically, the core of our project was impossible to perform. And everyone was expecting us to pivot or to close the company. But we decided to go on because we knew that this was going to be a challenge in the long term, and that COVID wasn't going to fully change everything. It was going to be an accelerator of remote work, which is very good news for everyone. But of course, we still need physical presence because it's not the same to work every single day on your own than to be together with your teammates. So we decided to keep going, and we focused during that time on developing our technology. We developed a new app from scratch with all the learnings that we had accumulated in the past year from our first pilot projects and stuff. And then we helped companies go back to the office and avoid agglomerations with public transport. So that was a big challenge because it required a lot of resilience from us, from the founders, and it was very hard to work without seeing or knowing when it was going to be over, when the situation was going to come back to real normal life, right? So it was tough, but it was a big learning because we're used to having like very immediate results in everything we do nowadays. And this was like, okay, I don't know when it's coming, but I believe this is happening. I'm going to keep going.
It lasted a bit longer than anybody expected, didn't it?
So long. It was like we thought it was going to be June, and we were so motivated, and then no, September, and then there was another wave. I think thanks to the fact that we didn't know when it was, like we thought that it was going to be shorter, that was what kept us going, because our expectations were always like, okay, 2 more months. But then it was for almost 2 years. Yeah, so bad.
Right. I think if they came out in the beginning and told us it was going to take 2 years, we would have said, no, we're not interested.
No way. Wow. I'm glad we didn't know yet.
Is there anything in particular maybe that I might have missed regarding Hoop that you might want to share with us?
One more thing, Matt, one more idea that is really inspiring me lately. That is the fact that at the beginning we start the company, most of us start companies thinking, okay, we have to have like these exact roles, like the CMO, the CTO, COO, whatever. And now what we are working on is also on trying to align our roles and what we do every day to what is more natural to us. Because I think that when you work on things that are like on your genius zone, let's say, you really do a much better job, and it's easier for you to do it. And we all have like this special superpower, let's say, something that we do outstandingly good that we have to use. And yeah, I think it's a good thing for entrepreneurs to try to align themselves to that.
Thank you. I like that. I wanted to touch on this, if you don't mind, just quickly, especially the preconceived idea about the difference between men and women in business. Is there anything maybe you can share with particularly our female listeners, that maybe a word of advice or inspiration in case there's any doubt or challenges they may be facing? I know obviously in Europe we have a more sort of open mindset, but I know in other countries, you did mention that I think you were in South America, things might not be as progressive, and there may be people that could benefit.
Yeah, well, from my perspective, I'm surrounded by men in the entrepreneurship world, because it's true that there are not so many female founders or female investors. But I think it's not been a disadvantage at any point. I've never experienced a disadvantage from that. I actually believe that it's an opportunity now because you stand out a little bit more just because you are a female founder and it's not that common. So I try to see it as an opportunity, and I believe that we are changing that. Every day there's more and more female entrepreneurs, and I think this is going to change because it's something from the past that women cannot be entrepreneurs. I think it's something also related a little bit to risk aversion and to also what we learn when we are children, because girls don't play so many team sports and team games, and we are not so stimulated as guys are. But I think we are having more and more examples of very successful women entrepreneurs, and it will keep growing.
Fantastic. I really do hope so. I think it's a great move. And my last one for you, second last one, if I have to go into your house on your bedroom wall and I have to write something, an inspirational phrase, a saying, but you have to wake up, you have to see it every day. What does it say on your wall?
Enjoy the ride.
Nice. Short and sweet.
Dance, everything, you have to enjoy every part of it, because the destination is not worth it if you don't enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride. I like that. And then just for our viewers and our listeners, if they are interested in learning more about your company, where can they find you?
On LinkedIn. I'm super available to talk with anyone. I get a lot of help from other entrepreneurs, so always happy to connect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you so much for taking your time to be with us today. It's been really great to meet you. We look forward to future developments. We'll be keeping our eye on you.
Great. Thank you so much, Matt, and congratulations for the podcast. I love it.